Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. If you'd like to support this channel, then there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Now, before we start the main live show, we'll pass over to the Hangout so you can enjoy the dulcet tones of, I believe, Paul and 10th Man.
2.5, 3 years at the oldest, so we've got some fruit last year, and we'll have some this year, but take about 5 years for it to really hit. And then we've got 100 olive trees.
You said olive trees?
Yeah, I love olive oil, so I planted 100 olive trees.
Wow. Do you have you made your own, pressed it and cut your own olive oil so far?
I'm planning to. I'm just letting them get mature right now.
Yeah, I think I've heard that olive trees can take 50 to 100 years to mature. Heard, but of course it depends on how old yours are. But I've heard that.
No, they can last that long, but I already have fruit.
Oh, do you? Okay, well, that's good.
Hello, hello, Flatzoid.
Hey Flatzoid. Hello you two. Sorry I didn't say hello, I was just setting things up.
Well, you can call,
Oh yeah, we figured.
you can call me Bono if you're going to refer to us as YouTube. You get that one, Nathan?
Didn't catch that, no.
You said, hello, you two, and I said, well, if you're going to refer to us as you two, you can call me Bono.
Still don't get it. Well,
You
you
still
what?
don't get
You
it?
don't get. You might not be into music.
No, he does. He knows music.
Maybe I didn't hear what you said.
Well, you referred to Paul and I as you two, and then
Yeah.
I said, well, if you're going to do that, call me Bono.
Bono. Oh, you two. Right, yeah.
It's too early.
Mr. The Edge to you.
Yeah. Lovely show yesterday.
Are you talking about the debate or the debate?
Both. Lovely show on both ends yesterday. I had to come and watch the debate later because I caught the last part of it. You're back, Flatzoid.
Started listening to some of that thing that Bob had talked about on Globebusters. I was listening to part of it this morning. Never got to finish it, but it was kind of interesting.
What's that?
About we put basically the density tower in a vacuum, and what would happen, or in space or without gravity or whatever. Kind of interesting.
To put what in the vacuum?
The density tower. What happens if you put the density tower?
Yeah.
In the vacuum of space.
What space?
I know. I trust me, I get it.
I totally get it. I totally get it. They ain't going there with me.
Here's your sausage. Be
Good
careful.
job, I'm busy, eh? All I can hear is you begging the question of space in the background from the kitchen.
Don't worry, Bono took care of it.
Bob was begging the question on Globebusters about, the gravity and, the vacuum of space, that kind of thing.
If Narnia existed and if there was unicorns, then this is what the density tower would do.
Hello, sorry, is it working now?
Yeah, you're working. A bit loud, but
Is it? Oh, okay, sorry. I got a new mic, so I'm just. Is it better than usual?
yeah, your room's very echoey now.
Trust me, they gave me a hard time when I first came on with my mic. So you're being initiated in Flatoid.
It's fine.
Hey guys.
Hey, mine's walked. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
How's my mic level? Is it? It's not too loud?
Sounds
Sounds
fine
good
by
on my
me.
end, but
Awesome.
not sure how it sounds to Nathan.
No worries. But we're not live yet, are we?
Yeah,
Always
but it's
assume he's
recording.
recording and transmitting. Always assume.
It's the pre-show, but it's probably recording.
Okay, no worries.
The mine walked.
Yo,
Yeah, you're still concentrating on that what's it called? That new currency, the blockchain.
oh yeah, man. Always. So it's got a bit of background noise there. Not sure where it's coming from. Yeah. Oh man, I'm big into blockchain and crypto. Hey, love it. Honestly, reckon it's the future. And like today on the news here in Australia, they just had a big thing saying a lot of businesses here are going cashless, like 7-Eleven and I think even Aldi were thinking about it. I was like, man, this is a load of BS. Like even banks are like closing ATMs down over here. So everything is literally going digital. So if you've got money in your bank, like you literally can't get your money out. It's just crazy. Yeah, I'm all for crypto and blockchain. Like a lot of people don't quite understand what it's about, but you know, when you do, it's actually really interesting. It's not just about digital currency. You can actually build complete ecosystems on blockchain. It's really interesting. But yeah, that video I made was really more about I was having a bit of issues with my ticker. That's why I did. I had to step away for a bit. I was having a big episode of ectopic heartbeats, and like I'm pretty healthy. I've do run a landscaping business, so I'm always exercising. I don't drink. I don't smoke, and felt like I was having a heart attack for about a week, and just wouldn't go away. So I had to just step back, and yeah, I'm back now, so all good.
Cool. Just take your drone up sometime again.
Yeah, I will, man, for sure. I was talking to Tony before. I'll send you guys a link. I'll put it in the side chat. I'm gonna make a doco. I want it to be about an hour and a half, and I want to have a couple of guys. Hopefully Nathan, hopefully Tony. Get a video of them expressing their views technically, and then get some Globers to put their views in technically. And then I also have he was a client of mine. He's a friend now. He's a Qantas pilot. I'll have to kind of, blur his face out, but I'm going to interview him as well, and it's going to be just a neutral doco looking at both sides technically. It'll be pretty cool. I'll show you I'll put the link in the side chat now so you can see the intro I've made for it. I haven't finished all the audio yet, but
I was thinking of that conversation with Dawn, where he's, I believe, and the whole time it's stuck in my head, you know, from Shrek at the end where they, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. I actually wanted to make a parody about it sometime. So what's the time where everybody is now?
It's 10 to 9 p.m. here, so 8:51 p.m. exactly.
5:51 a.m. in California.
So I'm still on the 29th.
Wow, you're in California? Yeah, it's so early. 5:51.
I'm a farmer.
Sure, no, I totally get it.
Oh, hey, Nathan.
Very well, very well.
I'm thankful your show is at this time, or else I can't catch it live.
So it's technically still before your day begins, right?
Yes.
You'd start at sunup, right?
I don't really have to start that much because I'm in closed greenhouse aquaponics, so everything is a system running symbiotically.
Oh, okay.
But I have to do other things, so
That's all.
nothing that calls me like, oh, you gotta get out here.
Right.
That's awesome. So it's actually self-efficient.
Yeah, I got a 3 horsepower pump that runs 24/7. That cycles the water through a 5,000 gallon tank. I probably have 3,500 gallons of water running through a system.
Mind
The
what?
fish,
Can you pop yourself
the
on
fish
mute?
do their thing, and that's the fertilizer that goes through the water. So it's liquid fertilizer. It goes through a filter system. Solids get broken down by mineralization tank that's running 24/7 with oxygen pumping in it, so there's no smell, there's no pathogens. And then 20 of the beds have volcanic rock and river rock, create the good bacteria, and everything else floats on styrofoam with holes in it with little organic plugs you put your seed in, and within 4 to 5 weeks you have a full plant.
What are you growing?
Growing all the different vegetables that the high-end restaurants want to use, like the baby lettuces. It's called mescaline in French.
Yeah, little gem lettuces, little tiny things.
Yeah, you can grow, but I can grow the bigger, hardier lettuces, just about anything, because the system is so rich in nutrition.
That's pretty cool because I was actually watching a doggo today on farming, and I think it was in the 1920s. People went to Parliament in the US saying how farmers back then were just like planting way too many crops, and the soil was so depleted of minerals that the foods had basically no nutrients in them, and that was in 1920s. So you look at that's nearly 100 years ago. So you imagine now today how demineralized all of our crops are. So you might be going to a health food shop and making kale shakes, thinking, oh yeah, green vegetables, they're so good for me, but basically it has no minerals in it at all. Like, and I've just found that out. Like, my heart condition that I've got isn't actually too bad. What I've been doing is having high doses of magnesium taurate and citrate, and it's been making a massive difference. Like, I've obviously had a pretty severe magnesium deficiency. I eat healthy, so it just goes to show that healthy food is barely has any good nutrients in it anymore. So things like what you're doing is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I thank you. When you go buy lettuce or produce from the store, just follow its track. So it came from a farm of some type, had to be hauled, had to be in a cooler, goes to the market, they do their auction, gets put in the truck, another cooler, gets rolled to the restaurant or store, then gets put on display. Well, how long of a time did that take? When I cut my vegetables, where the knife meets the bottom of the vegetable, you see the milk, the white milk that comes out. And I deliver within 15 minutes once I get my business started. So because the businesses I want to deliver surround me. So the taste, I had a few of the chefs come out from the wineries and they say, my gosh, we've had nothing like this before. So the nutrition stays there longer because once you cut it, the sugars start popping in all the plants.
Yeah, it immediately starts to decay, of course. And
The
you're
entropy.
you're absolutely right. Everything from my folks' farm, they don't live there anymore, but when they did, just food tasted better. Everything tasted better. Didn't matter what. Eggs, meat, vegetables. It didn't matter. It all tasted better.
Yeah.
Would you say that the vegetables are also a bit bigger?
That just depends on when you cut them.
No, they'll grow to whatever their information is in the cells, the DNA of that vegetable. But I could grow baby lettuce two different sizes. I could grow it where it's really tender and small leaf, but then I don't get much weight. Or I could let it go to full, which is 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Then I'll get the weight, but it's a bigger lettuce, still a baby lettuce compared to others. So it all depends what size they want it. So obviously, if they want the smaller, it's going to be more per pound. If they want the normal smaller, where it goes to full, then it's going to be the normal price per pound for that type of lettuce.
Do you let like good specimens go to seed so then you can keep that stock going?
Everything I do, for the most part, is heirloom. So the seed within itself can reproduce. It's not the genetic Monsanto seed where you can only have one harvest.
Good.
And so all my extra I feed to my chickens. My eggs, I haven't found an egg that even comes close to my eggs. My neighbors just keep wanting my eggs.
Yeah, not many people realize what Monsanto do to seeds. It's pretty crazy.
They're terrible.
Well, they want
And
complete
they basically
they want complete
inject
control.
glyphosate into the seed so that when farmers spray for weeds, the actual crop doesn't die. They can spray glyphosate wherever they want and it won't kill their crop.
Yeah, they genetically modified it so that they can meet the demands of high production through genetic modification. The only problem is it's just like animals, when you feed them grains rather than grass, they produce the wrong kind of cholesterol. So all these fat animals, speaking of yesterday's show, in a sense, all these fat animals that are mass produced are fed the wrong food, but they get fatter and bigger quicker. And then we eat it and we get the wrong cholesterol for our body. But if they fed them just the natural grass that God intended, then we get the good cholesterol our body wants. So all my animals eat grass.
And there begins the inception of E. coli, from feeding bad food to all the animals. That never used to exist.
Yeah, you're right.
Take it you all watched Paula and Joseph yesterday?
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way,
No.
I had a something to add to that, if I may.
Go ahead.
I talked to the father this morning. I asked him about the Joshua, and the father told me he doesn't know Joshua.
Scientific evidence of what?
You're a bit
What?
early. You're a bit early
Is that
for
too
that.
soon?
Thomas.
Too soon?
Hey man. Oh yeah.
So, 10th man, you're saying did he name a farmer then?
What's that again?
Did he kind of, how can I delicately phrase this? You're alluding to his credibility being a little bit iffy in regards to a reference to a farmer that you checked up on. Is that what you just said?
Well, I mean, he says he can talk directly to the Father. I've been a Christian now for 45 years. Based on his image, he's a lot younger than that. So I've been talking to the Father longer. So I just said, Father, have you been talking to this guy? And guess what the Father said? No, I don't even know this guy.
Oh, I thought he said farmer.
No, Father, because he says in the grocery store and elsewhere, he can just pick up the hotline to the Father. And I said, well, heck, I got that.
I see.
Heck, I got the same thing. I'll just make it up too.
Yeah, because I'm about halfway of it now. Should finish off later tonight.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, The Plain Truth, Paul, Flatzoid and Mind Warped. Very good to have you all.
Hello, what ho?
Good to be here.
Good afternoon, good
Good
morning, good evening, if that is the case.
Good morning.
Any signs of Earth curvature?
None that's measurable or seen by the naked eyes.
Just perspective.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Negative.
Nope.
Nope.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity? Scientific evidence thereof?
I actually had a debate earlier too. Glover saying when the science proves gravity because some guy in 1846 made a measurement on gravitational pull and without seeing Neptune, and it plotted Neptune's place straight out. And I was like, did you guys even research anything about it? And at the end of the day, I said, there were telescopes in the late 1700s that made you be able to see Neptune.
Your mic was in and out.
Yeah, looks like your internet's cutting out or something. Bandwidth.
There is a way around that.
Is it better now?
Are you on a computer? If so, wave your mouse over the Hangouts page, go to the cog, and then... No, not the cog, sorry. The three little lines at the top that are like a triangle going up like a volume scale. Just click that and adjust your bandwidth use to minimum. Hopefully.
Sorry, no, I'm on the phone
No, I can't.
because I'm at work, so I'm not on my computer.
Fair enough. Hey, Arwin, any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, there's no
There,
confirmed measured distance to the sun.
there is no measurable distance to the sun, Nathan. However, you could act as if there was one.
Good morning.
Nope.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Chocolate
Good
Sane.
morning, Chuck.
Any evidence
Hey,
of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nothing but cartoons.
9.
9?
I'm going for the molten chocolate core.
Going for that too.
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Only at the tailor after a holiday.
Well, the Earth is technically flat, but you could presuppose everything to have a radius and every straight line to be adapted to R.
All trigonometry.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens, Arwin. That's pretty much the situation we find ourselves in, if we want to trust the liars that are out there, of course. Any evidence of gas pressure being maintained without the necessary antecedent of a container for all the fundamentalist zealots who believe in the sky vacuum, otherwise known as outer space. I've got to make that more concise.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what?
Don said you can go outside and just look up.
That would demonstrate to me that we've got something containing the gas pressure, as we have pressure, therefore it must be pressing on something. Not that I know what, but definitely craps all over the idea of a sky vacuum. That second law of thermodynamics, that natural law.
I don't know, Nathan. I think
Well, but Nathan,
it's technically incorrect to ask it like that because the answer can never be correct. So the only way for people to answer that is by not understanding the question. So what I would ask instead, even though it is really a good saying the way it is now, I would be asking, like, can you demonstrate a vacuum next to gas pressure without a membrane specifically?
Sure, that's how Anthony phrases it. It's the gas
Well, I
pressure. The main bit of it is gas pressure without a container, because that's essentially what the heliocentric world is. Gas pressure without a container, just there next to a lower pressure system. And
But
you're
hold on.
Go on.
Technically, the container for that outer space is the universe.
You
Yeah.
think
What's the universe?
you think our gas pressure gradient extends to the outsides of
Well,
the
I
universe?
don't think they say the universe is literally infinite amount of space. It's just unfathomably large.
Correct. They do give it a set volume. I don't know what that number is off the top of my head, but yes, you're correct.
So it technically does have a container, presupposedly.
No, Earth does not.
No, the Earth in relation to it is, yeah. But there would still be a presupposed container of the entire universe.
Oh,
I
sure.
suppose it's 10 to the minus 17 torr container, right?
Well, there is still a certain degree of gas pressure at 10 to the minus 17 torr. You know, very, very small. But I think the point Arwen's making is in the heliocentric rhetoric, they do give a set volume. Now, it might be expanding. I don't know what their bullshit is. But ultimately speaking, there is a number that you can go and acquire for their presupposition of the amount of volume the universe has. Is that what you're saying, Arwen? I think that's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
fair
then
enough.
to ask without a container, well, they're not presupposing it is without a container, even though they may not fathom that just on the surface. So if you just ask, just a vacuum next to gas pressure without the membrane, that they can even conceptualize trying to demonstrate that, and then find out it's just not possible.
I don't
No matter
mind
what they
making
try.
I don't
I
mind
just
making their
don't think
life
we
that
should
little bit
complicate
easier.
it too much. Because, I mean, they don't even understand what a container is. You think they're going to understand what a membrane is?
Yeah, I don't mind making their life easier. If you can show me, you know, something like a tyre in atmospheric pressure, so it doesn't have to be by a vacuum. You know, just show me gas pressure without a container. It doesn't have to be any other stipulations. Although your version, when you ask it the way you do, makes it clearer and more concise that I'm talking about space. I would say, you know, as soon as you say vacuum.
I think there's even a better way to phrase it. Show us a gas pressure next to a vacuum without a membrane at equilibrium.
Sure. Hey, Physics Warrior.
Hey, Nathan.
Well, that concludes the housekeeping. Thank you very much. I'll have a quick check on Discord, see if anybody's joined us there. Give us a second. Yeah, there are a couple of people in there. Right the hand. Let's unmute you. Hey, right the hand. Can you hear us?
I hear y'all.
Good to have you. Hey, is that Dawn? Can you hear us as well? I haven't unmuted you. Hold on a second. Getting used to this whole Discord thing. Hello, Dawn. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Good to have you.
I was just kind of listening for now.
Yeah, no worries.
I just posted a link. It's apparently NASA spotted a glowing hydrogen wall, so that explains what they think is at the end. They think it's some kind of wall of hydrogen that contains it.
A wall of gas.
Hey, when mass floats in a vacuum,
still
wall of
can't
gas.
spot places. My bad, bro.
Isn't hydrogen a sticky substance?
I thought it was a gas.
It's a noble gas.
Can it be like sticky?
No, they don't like Velcro used on their words. I found out.
Why not? They like the atmosphere of Velcro to the planet, right? They
Well,
must like Velcro.
they say only flat
And didn't
earthers.
NASA come up with Velcro? Was it that the rumor?
No, dude, they didn't even invent. They've invented nothing. They didn't invent Velcro. They didn't invent the Tempur-Pedic.
I
They
know,
just
dude.
used it.
Nonsense.
What do you mean they didn't invent Velcro? That's what they're credited with, though.
Yeah, but Velcro was created here on Earth, not up there.
But that doesn't mean NASA didn't create it.
Of course they didn't create it. They steal everybody's creation.
So what you're saying is they just dipped
But they
into the
honestly
patent.
didn't.
They just dipped into the patent office and robbed somebody else's idea.
Well, that's a good start.
Any evidence to substantiate this claim that they're just lying about those particular things? I know they're discredited anyway. It's just one of those things I'd not even considered, that the things they actually are credited with inventing that are legitimately useful might also be a complete farce. I just hadn't considered it.
Well, if you do any kind of investigation on patents and patent office, which is run by the government, all the good ideas that people like you and I and free thinkers, if we take it to the patent office and they want it because their eyes see it, you're either erased from your existence, your idea is taken, they steal everything.
They hinted at it in a movie called Armageddon, where it's got Bruce Willis travelling to a rock in the sky that he's got to blow up, and he goes to the government agency that are trying to deal with this problem, and they introduce him to this drill. And he goes, so let me get this straight. You flew me halfway around the world because you stole my drill design and couldn't read the schematics properly. And they're like, yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
It's a movie, obviously.
I
This isn't
forgot
real
that
life.
one.
It's not real life.
No, it's reality, man. They got their eyes on everything and everyone. And I think there was a story in the car industry at the beginning. There was a movie with Jeff Bridges or something called Baker Boys or something like that. They started a car company back in the days, and of course, GM and everybody else linked.
That was Tucker.
Tucker. Yeah, that's it. Same thing. They just drive you out.
Sure, it was Sleeping Warrior was telling me that Mercedes own absolutely loads of patents that they just don't utilise. They just keep them under lock and key. I don't know how true that is, but certainly, like I say, Anthony was telling me about it recently.
The greatest part of Armageddon is that we have people today who believe that we've landed on an asteroid, and it's really, really, guys. Like we really we can't get back to the moon, but somehow we landed on a moving rock in a vacuum, right? Or a different moving rock, smaller.
Right.
Right.
So, hey, Nathan, I would like to respond to the statement about the secret technologies basically being kept from the public. Because, yeah, there's a lot of patents out there. But it's not like you're not allowed to use those. But the problem is that if you're going to use any of it, you're going to be directly involved with the one that is keeping the patent. And you're going to have to pay them for it. And that is what discourages industries from doing that in general. So they're like dragons
also,
literally sitting on the
to
treasure.
legalize certain elements. So like mercury, I believe, can be used for power you spin it and it creates power, whatnot. But they just say, oh, it's hazardous, you can't buy it. Like uranium, you can use it to heat up and it doesn't degrade like other metals. They just say it's radioactive, so you can't touch it. So that's how they control, like, not just the narrative of space, but they control the narrative of power by you not even knowing or being able to get the resources to do it, because it's all under lock and key from the government.
Well,
And there's
look what
apparently a lot of boogeyman stories too going around about these materials as parts of the science as part of the science narrative.
In this community, we've heard about Tesla, and if the stories are true of Tesla, Morgan and all these rich billionaires, they stole everything. The government took everything. Tesla
Hey, Jessica, can you hear us? Hello.
Well, technically they didn't steal it, they extorted him out of it. No, that's serious. They didn't secretly steal it. They didn't even get it. No, they made him give him.
Yeah, they just use lawyer terms.
That's called extortion. That's not
stealing.
stealing.
Yeah, it's just lawyer terms, Arvin.
It wasn't like it was Tesla's technology. He just discovered the natural things that are happening in this world, right? So it's not like we can't do it. You know what I mean? It wasn't Tesla himself that unlocked the power. He just figured out how to unlock the Earth's power. So it's not like they have it under control. We just need to figure out how. And that all comes back to controlling the narrative through, like, oh, we think gasoline comes from oil when it doesn't. So like you control all of these narratives, and people will just, not only do they not have the resources to make the technology if they knew it was true, they don't even know it's true.
Well, the powers to be, if they have infrastructure and the new technology comes that nullifies that infrastructure that cost billions, if not trillions, they're not going to let the new technology just pop in and destroy all their infrastructure that's been set up to make money for 100 years.
Right? Like the electric car. It was here almost 100 years ago. Now it's making the resurgence after they made trillions on oil.
How about hydrogen powered cars? Water.
Hydrogen is the most energy dense fuel. I'll post this energy chart. It's a fuel density energy chart, and just look at how much fuel you get out of how little hydrogen. It's crazy. It's like 40 times more efficient than gasoline.
Right, hydrogen engines. Yep.
Have you seen the latest stories on all these asteroids coming to Earth? All the different size ones.
Hey.
No.
By the
Has
way,
anybody seen one?
right ahead.
Did we have our near miss? What was it? It was supposed to be on Monday. Some asteroid was supposed to come by or something.
Yeah.
Another silly story.
Yeah, but it's not silly. They're building a narrative so that they can blow up something in the sky, and we'll look at it and we'll see an explosion, and they'll say we blew it up and we saved Earth.
You know what's interesting about that article about that asteroid in the pass by on Monday was that they said that it was like 0.04 of a astronomical unit in distance from the Earth, which was like 4 million miles. But in the article, they called that still within the Earth's atmosphere. 4 million miles is still within the Earth's atmosphere. I thought that was interesting.
And they expect us to find the dome.
Go on, Flatside.
I said, and then they expect us to find the container holding the air.
Oh, well, if they push the Tor values out far enough, maybe people will forget that it's an open system next to a vacuum.
But I mean, have they ever considered the third law of thermodynamics? We never ever see anything get to 0 Kelvin.
I didn't get that last
I
part.
didn't get that last part either. Sorry.
I said they don't think of the third law of thermodynamics. Because the third law of thermodynamics states it has to go to 0 Kelvin before there's zero. And we don't see that anywhere. It's minus 273 degrees Celsius.
No, but isn't that the supposed absolute minimum temperature where the molecules basically do not move anymore?
Never happens.
Exactly, and that's supposed to be before space, which doesn't exist.
I don't think that's directly tied in with that law. It's not.
Oh, we've got an argument about the heliocentric nonsense. Let's see how this pans out.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's never been a vacuum observed in nature ever. So why are we going to think that the universe is almost entirely a vacuum? It's beyond logic.
Because they tell us so. Because they say so. That's the only reason.
You know what? It's kind of a good point. It's weird because in space, if there was technically a vacuum and you would not rip apart for some reason due to spacesuit, then you wouldn't lose heat because there's no matter, no gas for you to transfer that heat to. That is also like a weird thing that's never really talked about. And especially if you would be absorbing sun, you would heat up and start melting.
I'm sure it is talked about, but you can just make up whatever you like about what Narnia does. You should make it up.
Yeah,
or you could emulate it in a vacuum chamber and basically start heat radiating in that vacuum on an object, and it's probably gonna melt a lot quicker than if there was just gas pressure within that chamber.
They can't even get their own props to work right. They send up the Tesla Roadster up there where it's supposed to be between 2,000 and 4,000 degrees, and the dashboard doesn't melt, the paint doesn't peel off, the tires aren't melting. Give me a break.
It's thanks to the green screen.
I don't know. When that came out, I had a struggle with a lot of people when that first came out, because even normal Globehead family members kind of brushed it off as being obviously fake. And it was a really weird situation having to explain to them, no, this is claimed to be real. This is part of your narrative. You have to believe this.
Come on, Nathan. We've seen so many times in science fiction movies, if an astronaut, if containment breach and if fly out of space and so dramatically, you see them freeze up in a couple of seconds. That explains it, right?
Like I say, you can make up whatever story you like.
It was so... I get it, because it was so bad that I had globe-tards coming up to me, knowing I'm a flat earther, and they were like, dude, I mean, what's going on here? And I had to give them that look, like, you tell me what's going on there. Because that's supposed to be real, right? So you tell me. And they're just looking at me like, yeah, we live on a ball, but this is not real. I'm like, well, have fun with that. Work that out, guys.
So Nathan and Chocolate, you had family and friends walk up to you and say, "Oh, this is not real," but the same entity, NASA, does do real.
It's SpaceX, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah, I had one of them tell me that it's not NASA, it's SpaceX. I'm like, really? You think there's a real difference between the two? Okay,
they work together. They even admit it.
Yeah, they're heavily regulated by NASA, correct? So they claim, but that's all, again, part of the internal bullshit narrative. It's meaningless. Neither of them are going to space. There is no space. It's Narnia. You can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum.
I think I have an interesting insight about the freezing up in space thing that they claim. It kind of countermands the conceptualization that space really is a vacuum. So maybe they're just still kind of telling us, but they've already kind of figured out, just like I have, that there has to be an outer gas universe instead, because that's the only way heat could transfer from somebody in order for them to freeze up. And then they would also claim then that because of the lack of sunlight or something, that gas in the outer gas universe away from the planets would be extremely cold or something. And that's the only kind of setup that could allow something like that to happen. But then there would not be the depressurization of breaches of spaceships would not be that dramatic anymore.
Just
Because there's not that much less gas pressure out there. It can't be.
I want to ask
Mark,
Zach in
money
the
on-
chat.
Now
Sorry
I
to
feel
interrupt.
bad.
Hold on one sec. Just want to ask Zach in the chat. He says, no internet here, but I'll be calling in. No Wi-Fi here. What are you going to connect with? Magic?
George Musa.
Yeah.
Hey Nathan,
Hello.
I've just got Tony on Skype that's asking me to ask you if you've seen his latest Conspiracy Cats video and what you think. Hello?
Said I don't watch Conspiracy Cats, so probably not.
No, it's not Conspiracy Cat. It's Tony's video on his channel, Sleeping Warrior.
Oh, yeah, he released a little short about Conspiracy Cats because he's essentially claiming
Yeah,
that
he-
gravity's a force. I don't think he's keeping up to date
Yeah.
with the Flat Earth debate.
Yeah, so he was just asking what you thought about it.
I think he's not keeping up to
Conspiracy Cat
date.
hasn't been informed yet. Sorry. Oh, shut up.
I think he's not keeping up to date with the Flat Earth debate. I think we can all agree with that.
The conspiracy cast is just a waste of my time, apparently, in my opinion, because everything he says is actually double speak. Really stupid.
God, your connection's terrible. Probably one of the worst Flatzoid.
Sorry.
It's all right. Don't worry.
I went to
I-
Amazon to see if I could buy a grab-o-meter, and all it showed me was a scale.
That
That's all it is, though, isn't it? It's just a
is
dressed up.
awesome.
Well, that's all it is. A poshed up scale, all right?
It measures acceleration.
Vibration.
That's a speedometer.
Well, it measures gravitational acceleration. I was looking at them. I seen one. You can get it for like $5,000
Oh,
Wow, what a bargain.
to measure
Wow,
how fast
that's-
something falls. Congrats.
Oh man, I'm gonna go do GoFundMe for that one. No thanks.
So, what does it do exactly? Right, the
Under
hand.
the Wikipedia, it says it measures the gravitational acceleration.
Sure, I know what it claims to do. What's it actually physically do?
Uses vibrations.
I would have.
Uses vibrations, Flatzoid.
Yes, I'm trying to not talk too much because of the Wi-Fi, but yeah, it actually uses vibrations, and they see that as a acceleration, you can say, and that's how they read gravimeters.
Wow, so their independent variable is vibrations. Again,
It looks like it sits on the ground on like a tripod.
The manufacturers of this device aren't going to be claiming science. You know, it's the people who put it into application that do that. Just a piece of technology. Whatever it's attributed to doing, whatever it says on the front cover or the title that it's given, is meaningless. What it actually does is what's relevant. However,
Just don't tell a Glover. Just don't tell a Glover there's the difference between technology and science.
Yeah, most globers don't understand that. There's a fair few flat earthers that don't as well, to be fair.
Kind of looks like a level, like a very complex Rube Goldberg type. You know, they what's that? We're redundant with a whole bunch of redundant systems, but it just looks kind of like a level.
Fair enough.
so Nathan, on your show since inception to now, see how I can pose this question. If you were to categorize the different types of globers, George Muser being more on the scientific side, having been an editor, Scientific American, and whoever this Conspiracy Cats guy is, or Rumpus, and then the Everyday Joe, is the Musser interview, the more scientific, highest level towards the official view? Because obviously these other people are just average Joes trying to defend the ball, right?
Nothing
I would
scientific
certainly
about
say so.
anything I've seen from George Musa whatsoever. Zero. None. He is a pseudo-scientist. So, no. It depends on how you want to phrase it. If you substitute the word science for pseudoscience and kept the context, so what they call scientific, yeah, then I'd agree with your sentiment. But I can't because you've used the word science, and I don't think I've seen anything so far. I've been sent several videos, a Google Talk, obviously the interview with Fight the Flat Earth with George Musa, and I don't see him doing any science. Do you?
No, actually, that's a better way to phrase it. So, because the magazine is called Scientific something, doesn't mean
American.
he's a scientist or did science. You're right. So he would be the highest, and yet still in the pseudoscience category. We've never really had an official from NASA or an official scientist come on the show, correct?
Closest we've had is probably M. Scott Veach, son of an astronaut.
Son of an astronaut.
That's probably the closest we've got. But ultimately speaking, all of the people who they would look to in this regard are all pseudoscientists. They're all pretender clowns. None of them are using science. They're all hijacking the terminology. There is no exception to that.
How does a son of a scientist, other than maybe what he is studied himself, qualify as that? Just being a son of a scientist.
I don't know
Son of
about
an astronaut, not a
I'm
scientist, an
I'm
astronaut.
sorry.
I don't know about being qualified in any of these regards. So George Musa would be the same. You know, he can hold up a certificate that says he's legit. But does that mean he's qualified to tell us what the convection currents on Venus are? Or would you just call that flat out pseudoscience? Because that's what I'd call it.
Right, I agree. So the son of the astronaut, the only thing he's got going is that his daddy was an astronaut, or did he do something?
Yeah. Less than nothing. More brainwashed than most.
All right.
Well, if they held any of their priests in any high regard, I mean, we would not be arguing about seeing curvature at 6 miles, 10 miles away, because Neil deGrasse Tyson says 128,000 feet, you can't see flat, you can't see curve. That stuff is flat. So if they had any merit towards these guys, they would just say, oh, obviously we can't argue that. But then Mick West the other day says you can see curve at 45,000 feet. So who's right? I mean, get your story straight, guys.
Yeah, what the high priests appreciate, that's the rhetoric that needs to be punted, because if anybody does have a look and can't see any, it needs explaining. You're not high enough. You need to go higher to see the ball. You're only a millimetre above this beach ball in comparison, so you're never going to see any curve. That stuff is flat. That's the rhetoric of Neil deGrasse Tyson. It doesn't change their reality. Their reality is a sphere, and it's a sphere making all that bloody noise. Someone in the Hangout needs to mute.
Flatzoid.
Flatzoid.
I'm gonna mute you, dude. Oop.
You've forgotten what I was talking about.
You were saying that they have to come and say, oh, you can't see it, that's because you're not high enough.
Right. In reality, though, that might be the high priest of sphere, Neil deGrasse Tyson, saying that stuff is flat, you can't see curve, essentially conceding to our point it's obviously inobservably flat from the highest of high that you can get as a civilian. Well, in contrast, the maths says different. The maths says it's a ball from ground level and should be detectable. If you take a big panorama, you should be able to measure in a camera Earth curve from the ground, and it should get progressively more curved as you go up. Now, if you want to conceptualize this, you've got at one end of the extreme the Neil deGrasse Tyson explanation that from the ground it all looks flat. Yes, we'd all agree it looks flat. Obviously and observably flat. Yes, we agree. But as you get to the point that you're at the blue marble stage, you've got an in-between. Everything from one to the other is getting progressively more and more curvy. And it would be visually obvious. You'd be able to see it. Now, they're saying in the arguments from the double speakers, not the priests, the people who are who are in the trenches say, yeah, of course you can see the curve. This is how you measure it. This is how much should be there based on the geometry. And you should see it. And what do you know? There you go. Look, there's that effective perspective. That's curve, that is. We can see it. So that's what they argue. Because the mathematics dictates that you should absolutely be able to see it. Whereas the double-speaking high priests tell you what is visually obvious. You can't see it. It's flat. So it's just doublespeak, and it depends on which side of the coin. You can only speak the highest order of doublespeak if you're someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye, and point out, well, it's a closed system, says Bill Nye. Oh, really? Not travelling to Mars, then? But you need to be able to say that as a high priest, because it's necessitated by the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. So, yeah, you start double-speaking your audience and telling them that the open system's closed, while Neil deGrasse Tyson tells you that the curved system's flat. Well, this is just double-speak. But the people on my point is the people on the ground are going to go with the actual reality that they're supposed to have. You should see curve from ground level. You just don't.
It seems to me
But you can
that
act like if it does.
You can act like it
seems
is.
to
You can
me-
call perspective curve. Yeah.
you guys got here before I did. I got here at the end of 2016. So I've seen Neil deGrasse Tyson change his narrative. The latest one being, oh, it's you're not high enough. That stuff is flat. That video. I hadn't heard him say anything close to that prior to that one video. So in 2015, what was he saying? In 2014, what was he saying? I bet he's changed his story because the flat earthers threw out the math and the math didn't match the ball. And so now that he's changing his narrative.
No, I don't think so. No. I'm
No?
pretty sure he's been consistent in that narrative, even before being a glober, before being a flat earther, whilst being a glober. I remember him towing that line. So it's
Well,
one of those.
I remember Bill Nye showing the ships going over the curve in
Sure,
one of the videos.
that might well be the case with Bill Nye, but I'm saying Tyson certainly, from my memory, I could be wrong, towed that exact same line. It's flat from any vantage point. I distinctly remember it because it was one of the things that I was acutely aware of when I used to do a lot of international travel. So I knew from their rhetoric that you could not see curve, and sure enough, you couldn't, because it isn't. But my point being that, you know, the doublespeak from deGrasse Tyson, from my memory, has remained consistent.
Yes.
Was he ever commenting on something like a Felix Baumgartner jump or something like that ever?
But that came after Flat Earth, and probably when I didn't have a TV at all, so I couldn't comment.
I'm gonna look it up. I kind of see him progressing to this place because the flat earthers have just killed him.
No, he mentioned Felix Baumgartner. That's when he said that stuff was flat. I'm pretty sure that was the same talk.
No, he did mention it on that one. I'm talking about other shows. I'm gonna have to go back because I remember people interviewing him on other shows and bringing up topics on this, and there was something about it to where when he made that statement, how come that wasn't consistently all the time? That just appeared at that one time.
He has, it's just that one's been highlighted. And I think, I don't know if it was Right the Hand that said that, in terms of the Felix Baumgartner, that I'm sure is another example where he said something similar.
Yeah, he said that they use a wide angle lens. He did say it at that one, yeah.
Right. But like I say, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he's remained consistent in his doublespeak. But what deGrasse Tyson's doublespeak alludes to is you not being able to ever see a curve ever. That's what he's suggesting.
Precisely.
The best part is though, when you point that out to some of the Globers, they'll straight tell you he's wrong. And we can see curve at 10 miles away, 15, 20 miles away.
Well, they're right. Well, they're right. That's the beauty of doublespeak. The mathematics is on the side of the guys in the trenches. So the mathematics says, I've said all this already, you should see it from ground level according to the mathematics. If you go into the advanced calculator on Metabunk, you'll see that you should be able to calculate a curved horizon, albeit in a few pixels at ground level. It doesn't make any odds. It's curved. If it's curved, it's curved. It's as simple as that. And it will get increasingly more curved as you raise in altitude. It's just as simple as that. The reality being that doesn't happen, ever. So which are they going to push in the mainstream? The one that people will go out and calculate at great lengths when arguing in debates, or the one that's observably bloody obvious? Well, I'll tell you for something we already know the answer. He goes with, tell him what's the observably obvious and just dance around the fact that it should be curving because it's a curve. Just tell him with a ball. Hold a beach ball and say you can't see the curve above it. So people go, oh, beach ball, that's round like our planet. What's that? You say we can't see curve. Okay, Neil, we can't see curve. Just accept it. So he's giving you the double speak in a visual example, holding a ball. So you're acutely aware that you're on a ball when he says that, and he's not got me next to him going, what do you mean you can't see it? You should be able to. Or a glober saying, you're just wrong, you should be able to measure it. And even if there was, I'm sure he's proficient enough in his double speak to say, oh yeah, you could measure a few pixels with a super zoom camera, but that's not what we're talking about here. You know, he just double speak around it.
Well, you have a housekeeping question, the R value. So if they say they measure the Earth, they got to be able to measure.
Yeah, they'll never give you a spherical R value. Even if they told you how the presupposition came to pass, they'd still work within the boundaries of the presupposition. It's traversing the outside edge of a sphere. And that gives you your spherical value as it travels around the outside edge. You know, the fact that the sun travels in a circle is meaningless if you're trying to derive a spherical R value, which is what they've done. But they're never going to give you the reason for it being spherical. That is the essence of their begging the question fallacy, which is applied in 99% of all examples used to demonstrate that the Earth's a ball. Or to put it another way, they will always beg the question. Big shout out to Validation Boy, he was the first to really highlight this. There is no example that you'll find me where they don't start with the presupposition that you're on a ball. They'll always start with you presupposing you're on a ball. That's just how it is. You can't get around that. It's a begging the question fallacy. That's what the sphere Earth is. That's all it is.
One thing I don't I'm sorry. Sound like I was echoing. The one thing I don't understand, like, is their insistence on saying that there's a difference between something being level and something being flat. I don't understand their insistence on that. That something cannot be.
But that's fine.
Someone's got some background music on.
It's okay. It's Jessica. She's talking. It's a contradiction in terms, Jessica. So their insistence on a contradiction should just get you laughing rather than frustrated. You know, their own double speak rhetoric. Don't let it phase you. Yeah, they're suggesting we live on a level curve. Two things that are mutually exclusive.
Right. I know I shouldn't allow it to frustrate me. It's just when you're having a discussion. Like I was debating someone the other day about that, and it's like, do you even realize what you're saying? And it's like they were being so insistent on it, and it's just like you don't even realize what you're saying. It was, we couldn't get past that part. And he was like, okay, I'll just stop saying the word level. And it's like, it doesn't matter if he did, like, instead of just saying level, he said okay, equal in elevation. And I'm like, how is that any different? Like, you were just using different words to describe the same thing.
Well, the way to get around it, Jess, is when they say it, highlight what they're saying that conforms to your argument. What's that you say? Equal, not dropping, equal elevations? Well, that's flat then.
Exactly.
Oh no, level curve.
Exactly.
No, that's nonsense. You're saying it's flat.
Right. They don't get that. They say it's different. They say flat is not level. And I'm like,
if you're a
it
fundy,
literally says that.
If you're a fundy, yeah, you can believe two things at once that are completely contrasting one another. You can do that if you're a fundy and you've got a belief in a sphere Earth and a sky vacuum. You've got to do that, otherwise you can't hold the belief. Why do you think these people are so angry? When we are pointing out the contradictions, they're not hearing us. They do have this stuff, but it just makes them very angry because suddenly someone's holding a little mirror up to their contradiction, and they just fight for the contradiction. No, you don't understand the contradiction I hold.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. They're literally. They don't. It's like they realize it, but it's like they want you to believe their delusions. Yeah, it's like that.
Exactly. They want you to be a fundy zealot too.
It's like no, like it's not a force, but you can think of it as a. I still don't understand that. I can't get past that. That's absolutely ridiculous to me that you can manifest something as being something that it's not.
Because
And they insist that.
it's a violation of logic. That's why you can't get it, because you're not contradicting, they are.
And it's like that's fine. Like at least just admit that you're doing that. Don't say that you're right and that it makes sense when it doesn't. You know, it's just that's all we're asking really. Like just admit that it's nonsense. They're not going to do that. They're going to say if the math works out. It's like it doesn't. That's not the point. That's not. It's. I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, they still claim that when you look over a straight surface, okay, really close by, that it's the wobbliness. That nothing is basically straight, even though any straight surface, if you get in close proximity enough with the observation, you will see that concealment. And they just say, "No, it's wobbly, nothing is straight, there are no straight lines." They are straight line deniers.
Or when I hear that Lottie thinks that the Earth could be one big tree stump, what do you think?
I think that was Pete Shea.
Really, he said that. Like
Pete
I
Shea
think you
literally says that, yes.
that the Earth itself is a tree stump.
One
Our
big
star
giant tree stump.
is our Sarkis, and everything is a reflection of that, even the clouds, according to Pete Shea.
I, I don't know. Like, what's fun, what's interesting is that when I heard him talking about Aristarchus, I've heard of Aristarchus before, but the way that he was explaining it did not really sound like my understanding of it. So, like, I was kind of confused. But I mean, if that's what if that's what he feels is, I can't really, get on him about that necessarily. If that's what he feels is what's going on, but you still have to prove it. That's the whole point. Like, you can't just say that this is happening and this is what it is, or like even if you're conceptualizing it, like it has to make sense. It has to have like credible weight to it.
Well,
But like
with Pete Shea, it's not even that. It's just that he doesn't actually follow up on anything. He doesn't even try to prove. He makes claims and he doesn't do anything with them. And I even challenged him to do that pretty early on, and he just doesn't do it. Doesn't make the videos about it. He just makes the claims.
He did
I
come
think
into the other hangout and showed a couple things of Aristarchus and the craters too. It was quite interesting.
Oh,
oh,
I
really?
did,
And he did
yeah.
actually come. And did you see it? Did you see that it was exactly the same as he claimed it is?
Well, it was just explaining, what what the what the philosophy of the Aristarchus and the area
Right.
of the moon and how
Oh
it
yeah, I've
reflects.
heard it. I know exactly how he conceptualizes. He just doesn't actually try to prove it. Just makes it
yeah.
fun.
Merlin also came with the spheres, the planispheres, and he's going over with it, and I'm trying to blend it all together with the stars and see what happens with that. I don't know. You may want to come in a little bit in the hangout, Arwen. I sent you a link, but aside from this, maybe both of you guys can put this cosmology together. It's with these planispheres that's above us. Now, I've also spoken to other
Okay.
people with these planispheres. Is that instead of north and south, why do we look at it as if east and west? And at east and west, to me, that's level. I could accept that as my cosmology with the celestials. So we're at that stage right now where we're trying to put everything together on the level.
I have no idea what you were saying.
Well, well, my point is that the shape of our reality and where we're at, we're
Reality
still
doesn't have a shape. You
Hold
mean our
on.
realm?
If you didn't understand him,
around.
let him explain it again.
Well, I mean, it's that in this realm we do have these celestials, and we're trying to perceive our reality, where we're at, and
Right.
sometimes people come to us, it's flat. I kind of hate it when they say it's flat because it's kind of a dull word for me, and a lack of imagination. So, other than that, I mean, it's just we're at the stage where we want to build what our reality is at this point, other than, you know, the pressures and things that you've talked about. And I'm kind of interested in what you mentioned about the some kind of a bulb before, so that just stuck to my mind a bit.
Oh.
So I'm just still thinking that through.
If it wasn't flat, water wouldn't be level.
It's level.
Look,
So then it's flat.
there's more to this world than just the aspect of its flatness. It's not like, oh, it's flat, oh, that rules out so many things, and thus there can be nothing. Well, let me tell you what reality is besides this shape of the earth. It's so incredibly vast and complex and weird and fantastical. Just because these supposed balls aren't out there doesn't mean that this realm isn't absolutely amazing beyond most people's imagination. It really is.
Agreed.
Back to his talk. The mountains, which are made of rock and dirt and other substances, solids for the most case, have shapes, and they can hold those shapes. It could be angled. There's a cliff. You can walk to the edge of a cliff and be overhanging. But water doesn't do that. Water actually is level. So other than the topography and contours, the earth is flat. Water tells us.
I agree with that.
To a certain degree, but there's also surface tension about water to reconciliate.
No, we're not getting into the atomic part of it. We're talking about to the two eyes,
The shape.
it's
of what
flat.
the-
Okay, you're talking like that's what I like. That's what I mean. I agree with that. Like in terms of the shape, and that not to say that water cannot have its like water rising, water dropping, all the other effects that happen with water and everything. But overall, when water's in its just non-moving state, it remains flat on the surface. So that's the like I understand that point and everything. Like it doesn't bend up and stay at a curved like it doesn't do that. That's the problem with the whole their model.
Well, when I had my twin diesel boat and I would go to Catalina, there were times that the water was so still, you felt like you were on a lake. And this is the big blue Pacific I'm talking about. And then there were times where you had swells that you didn't even dare go out. And then there were times where I went night fishing and it was so dark, I couldn't even see in front of me. And the waves were maybe a foot or two, but you felt it. And then there were times where it was so foggy, you had no way to get your bearing at all. And so these are all the senses picking up all these things. But I've been on that ocean so much that I already know what it is when it's got waves, when it's flat, when it's dark and I can't see. So you go to your instruments, your radar, and all of those things to see what's in front of you because you can't see. And so what Arwen is saying, I get, because you can have storms that make this flat surface a little bumpy, but water will always find its level unless you stir it, right? That ocean was stirring.
Yeah.
Yes, but also depending on the strength of the surface tension, which has to do with the dilution of it, definitely.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
an
you're right.
extra effect that has to be taken into account with.
When the sun goes down, the water changes. When the sun comes up, it changes.
Well,
There's
I understand, but I'm not talking about the turbulence. Basically, I'm talking about the still state of it. And what I'm suggesting now, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate again. I guess I'm really bored these days. But what if the Earth was a presupposed Jupiter-sized ball, incredibly
Yeah.
fast, with a relatively thin layer of water on it? Well, maybe under the circumstances of how that is, it could be just slightly, it would be as good as level everywhere. But
If
because of-
Jupiter, if the Earth was a Jupiter-sized ball with a thin layer of water, turn one of these Narnia satellites and take a picture of it.
No.
well, maybe
the Earth
maybe
spherical
sight
Earth
doesn't
radius
reach
is
that
set.
far.
The se-
Maybe
the-
sight doesn't reach that far.
Based on the movement of the celestial bodies, the radius value for a presupposed spherical Earth is set.
I know, but I'm going off that.
Yeah, well, there's no changing that. Otherwise, all of their presuppositions that work with the sphere Earth no
Mhm.
longer work with a Jupiter-sized Earth. So it throws out all of their presuppositions in terms of the celestial bodies, which have been matched up to
Oh, yeah.
a sphere with a radius value based on
Right.
the sun's movements.
Exactly, right down the drain, and that's the entire idea. But that doesn't
Right.
mean that the issue of the perfect flatness or slight concavity or sphericity somehow is then automatically solved, and that's why I'm digging a little further.
I understand what you're saying, but this was an argument that Sleeping Warrior had. This is an argument that Sleeping Warrior would hold close to him for quite a significant period of time, and it wouldn't seem to matter how many times we'd say to him, no, you can't just change the sphere value. It has to be at their given radius based on how they've come to that conclusion in the first instance. If you start changing the size of the sphere, then none of the observations match up, and you don't have it working in any way, shape or form as a model. So with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. If you need to keep yourself occupied after the stream is over, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Loop, it's just not relevant, and it would be definitely geocentric and stationary, and with celestial phenomena. It would be a different conceptualization of a realm.
Yeah, but we would
It
still
might
need
be a ball.
gravity because we're sticking to a ball, aren't we?
Well,
Wait, hold on.
there is no direct explanation for that, if that were to be the case.
There's Halley's Comet that comes around every 75 years. Can we use the length of years as the distance or the size of our realm?
No, it's a celestial phenomena. It doesn't have any specific location. It's only virtual. It's only optical. It may be used as a time ruler, but as a clock. You can use celestial things as clock.
Arwen, is there any part of this statements you're saying based in reality and facts, or is it all presupposition?
Or bollocks.
Of course, it's presupposition. We would have to move beyond the confine of our realm to prove that the realm is even larger than we know. So,
well, no, just answer the question. Is it presupposition or reality?
Of course. The entire model conceptualization is presuppositional on there to be more surface to this world than we know. Yes.
Okay.
Well said. All bollocks.
Stories.
I do want to Arwen, you were saying in the description, like in what you were conceptualizing about the Jupiter-sized Earth. You said a thin layer of water. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, comparatively to its size, because if we presuppose the Earth to be the globe that is officially claimed, then the water depth of the oceans on that ball would be pretty significant compared to its entire size. But if the Earth were to be a Jupiter-sized ball, those depth of those oceans would be relatively thin. That's what.
Okay, so you're keeping basically the same amounts of water, but just increasing the size of the Earth.
Yeah.
And there's a
the
membrane.
realm we
You
know
mentioned the
is
membrane.
it still has the measured factors that we have measured. So it's just how the rest is, how it's going to be placed into the rest of what might be out there.
So how does this play into anything different than NASA's done with the current presupposition?
Well, they're tying it off.
No, I'm just saying you're presupposing, they're presupposing. This is a flat earth debate channel, and we're trying to get out of Narnia, and we're back in Narnia.
No, but I just would.
No, but their
I meant
claim of
this-
Narnia can't be true.
Listen, if there's anything you got to learn, you got to give Arwen his few minutes of Narnia time so he can get it out.
Yay!
Hold on. Just
I
I'm
really,
just-
I
hold
really
on,
do want to
hold on.
hear this.
Yeah, no, I've-
Jess, hold on. Jess was trying to get a few words in, then I want to say something afterwards. Go ahead, Jess.
No, I really do want to hear Arwen's example. I really do want to hear it.
Okay, well, that's in complete contradiction to what I was going to say, but that's fine. So what I was going to say was... What I was going to say was, we're in a position where we've been lied to very, very severely, and the scale is huge. Now, at this stage, while we're trying to disseminate the fact that we've been lied to other people, in my humble opinion, it's best to stick to what you can prove and what you can disprove. And beyond that, at least for now, try and keep it under your hat, because if you start coming up with new Narnia explanations, you're going to detract from the actual reality when it comes to the things you can prove, and it dilutes your point when you're disproving the nonsense that they come out with. So why come out with our own nonsense? Why not just stick to what we can prove and disprove, so we can get away from the old lies? That was what my point was going to be.
Right, I disagree, because there are certain factors at play. You have to reconcile that many of these globers are in a religious belief state. So they have dreams that they love, that they don't want to let go. Unless you're going to prove to them that letting that go doesn't take all that dream capacity away, and they have something new to conceptualize about that may lie in the realm of actual possibility, they might be more inclined to actually switch.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who joined us in the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Again, if you need to keep yourself occupied after this stream is over, go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!